And we're live! Yay! Right new
Hey!
feeling! How are you two?
Viv?
I feel great. I've had my grandson all day. He's had me watching dinosaurs. I know lots about dinosaurs today, and I'm looking forward to the weekend. How about you guys?
Yeah, I'm all right. You're having a quiet one, did you say?
I'm having a quiet one. I'm working
Don't
Sunday
blame you.
now.
Hello, Annette.
Hi,
I hope
Annette.
you're doing
Hi,
well there.
Annette. Woohoo.
Do you know
Yeah,
Annette
Go on,
reminds me
Viv.
of Hazel. She reminds me of Hazel Ford when I see that picture.
She does actually. She does look. Yeah,
She
she does
does.
look a lot like Hazel. She does. What I want to know, right? By the way, I'm doing all right, thanks. But what I want to know is why, as a Friday night, there's 5 people watching us. Why are you not? Have you not got lives?
I know.
Is there anything better you can do on a Friday night than listening to us lot?
Hey,
Hiya, Tori. Go away. Go and enjoy your Friday nights. Don't listen to us.
Trouble's in the house. Trouble's in the house.
Oh, William, I hope you're doing well there, sir. I hope things are all good. And hey.
Hey. So tonight we're talking about crime and paranormal. So, where do we begin, ladies and gents and ladies?
It's a good question, isn't it, really? I've not really had much. I mean, I'm obviously interested in, like anybody else, have that sort of grim passion for looking into We've all got that. Are you, Gary? It's good to see Gary and Terry in the old diehards there in the show. Yeah, I like all. I've got this sort of interest in the paranormal. Well, not in paranormal, but in the I've got an interest in the paranormal, but in serial killers and what have you. So, yeah, obviously the two cross, but I've never really put much thought into it. What about you guys?
You like to go for first, Viv?
Well, I've been thinking about Dennis Nilsen. I've had, since this subject came up, and it's like I can't get Dennis Nilsen out of my head. And Dennis Nilsen is a man that went and picked up people that were homeless from the streets.
I've got a story about him.
And then he took them out for drinks, got them drunk, took them back to his flat, and got them more drinks or drugs. And when they were getting up to leave, he didn't want them to leave, so he'd strangle them. And then when the bodies would start to smell and decay and stuff, he'd chop the bodies up and shove them down the drains. And it was only when the drains got blocked, I think it was Dino Rod came out, didn't they? And went to see to the drains and poke them and do what they normally do. And then they found human body parts down the drain, which is how he got caught. But my thoughts on Dennis Nilsen was that he wasn't, I could sort of understand where he was coming from. Like, he was lonely and he wanted company and he didn't want these people to leave. And so it's by making them stay. I mean, because while they were dead, he was washing the bodies, dressing them up, talking to them and acting as though they were still alive, and it was only when the bodies started going rotten that, and he was a man of the law. He was a policeman for a while, wasn't he, Dan?
He was, Viv, yeah.
He was.
But I think he started going a bit crazy, didn't he? Because didn't he use one man's skull as a bowl, or he was lending the
Dharma
pot.
did that, didn't he? Didn't
yeah.
Somebody's hand like a candle holder or something.
Yeah. But didn't he use the pot they used to boil the head in to take all the flesh off? He lent it to the girls downstairs in the bottom flat.
While you're talking about that, I've got an interesting story about that. Guy I used to work with many, many years ago called Fred. He went and done some work because it was Cranley Gardens, wasn't it, in Muswell Hill?
Yeah, that's right.
So we went in Cranley Gardens. I remember when it all kicked off because I used to work up that way.
Hi,
Kelly. And he went to move some stuff about in because they were like bedsit type things that he lived in.
Yeah.
And he went to move some stuff around for him because they were doing something to the bedsit. So I'm guessing this is prior to the time. He might have been doing the murders then. I don't know, but this is a couple of years before it had come on top and they arrested him. And Fred said he was the nicest man you could meet. He was a lovely, lovely man, very, very gently spoken, quiet, unassuming. Because Fred had spent he'd spent like a course of about a week or so working for him, and he made Fred a cup of tea, and he boiled the water in a saucepan.
Well, did he drink it?
God.
Well, this is before he knew he just thought he was a normal run-of-the-mill guy. And so Fred said, up to this day, he said, I don't know whether those were one of the saucepans that he used for boiling body parts or what have you. But he had a dog called Smokey as well, didn't he? Because he used to make sure the dog, when he was boiling the body parts or he was like decapitating or cutting the bodies up, he used to tell the dog to like, don't move, don't touch anything, dirty, dirty dirt. And I think if you met him in the street, I mean, he looked odd, didn't he? When you saw him in the photo, but then that's after the event. And is it a case of, would you assume that, I mean, would it be in human nature to see somebody after the event and go, oh yeah, he looks wrong, he doesn't look right?
But do you not find that people do that? Like, people say, like, we'll take Dennis Nielsen as prime example, right? Your friend thought he was a normal round mill guy, right? But do you not notice that people, after they hear something, will suddenly come out and say, oh, I knew he was a weirdo, or he looked at weirdo, and you're thinking, but you weren't thinking that beforehand.
No,
I mean,
exactly.
I mean, Dennis Nielsen, I mean, when he was younger and he was discovered he was gay now, you just know, right? And he found that confusing and shameful. He was reported to actually have fondled his own brother and sister during this period. His brother began to taunt him about being gay in public. Now, you think back then, none of that was, that was the done thing. But I think it was between the years 78 and 83, I might be wrong.
No, you're right, I think, yeah.
He was known to have killed about 12 men and boys, and he actually tried to kill another 7. Initially having he actually confessed to ending the life of 15 or 16 victims.
Yeah.
Didn't the police find one? Didn't they find a barrel in his room, like one of them plastic industrial barrel things?
I think that was Dharma.
And there was a body inside it.
That was Dharma, wasn't it?
No, it was him as well. They found and they found one in the wardrobe as well, didn't they? One under his bed.
One in the wardrobe, yeah. Because I think they were going to, when they arrested him, I think they were only going to do him for the one body, and then in the car, and when he got to the station, he admitted to 15 or something, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah. Didn't he have a boyfriend at one point? Didn't he have a guy that he was involved with that left him?
I think he did, Jay.
I think he did. But you're right, because the 80s, even though it was sort of a free-for-all, as far as particularly as well, I suppose anybody, but particularly in sort of gay circuit, they were sort of out and proud and doing their thing, weren't they? And it was a big, big thing, wasn't it? You look at a lot of the groups and that came from the 80s, they were openly gay. They were, prior to that, a lot of them would have hid it.
Do you think that the victims, I know one was Canadian, he was a backpacker. Now, they didn't have a chance to say goodbye or anything to their families. Now, do you think that they could be now haunting the areas, or do you think that they could be at peace? Because they went in a horrific way.
I hope they found peace, but you're right.
Dennis Nielsen himself, could he still be haunting Cranley Gardens? Because, I mean, it's still a house. It's still being let out. People are living there. I don't know how often they go through their tenants and things.
Well, I think it's probably more of a watch call now, isn't it? It's probably, it's a really upmarket area, isn't it? Crouch End and Muswell Hill. So you're looking at a lot of the arty-farty types, aren't you? Actors and writers and, sort of, what do they call them? The arts and crafts mob that are living there. So I would think that it's probably a private house once again, or flats.
Tori says that it's, the worst of it isn't Des. The worst is Ian Brady. Oh,
Ian Brady was that's another one that I don't really want to go into for reasons because that was quite a touchy subject due to a team's stupidity. Was Ian Brady and the Moors.
That is, let's not forget the victims here. I mean,
Yep.
with regards to the Moors murders, all of them, apart from one, has been found.
Yeah.
Now, if a group decides to go on a Ouija board and if they get messages and they decide they're going to go off and look for this poor little boy that was never found, surely that's not a bad thing. That he gets to a proper burial once and for all.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the stigma that any team that even mentions it or puts it in the public eye, which I don't think they should be doing because it is in bad taste.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're going to do these things, just go off and do them. The public does not need to know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I think to do it is one thing and it's a good thing, but to publicise it is an entirely different animal.
No,
especially for when it's their own gain. But
yeah, exactly.
You're not doing it for notoriety. You're doing it for the benefit of the child.
Hey, Kerry.
Hiya, Kerry.
But do you know something? I really, to this day, my heart goes out to, I think it's Keith Bennett was the child's name,
yeah,
the one that was missing.
The one who's still missing, isn't it, lovely?
God love, his mother went to her grave and never, ever knew where he was. And do you know, genuinely, I hope on the other side that they've been reunited. I really do. Because that was terrible. That woman for years didn't even know where her son was, and I can't even start to imagine waking up every morning not knowing where my child would be.
Von said, Ian Brady is a totally different level, sick and evil. Well, do you know what? I tend not to agree. Well, I do agree, but don't agree. He was a sick so-and-so. I want to say, you know, the bastard, I'm going to say it.
Well, say bastard if you want. Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah.
But to me, Myra Hindley stood in the background and recorded these children pleading for their lives. Recording the whole thing, the kids screaming and pleading for their lives. What kind of sick individual, and a female, somebody who was pregnant and baby gone, you know, what on earth? I just think I can't even. I've lost.
Well, therein lies hell, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But then again,
that individual, therein lies hell.
But then again, you could say that about Rose West. Why did Rose West stand back and let?
She was the one doing it.
Oh,
they all say Fred. They're all saying Fred. He finished them off, but it was Rose.
You've got that one up your way, Viv, haven't you, as well? The Soham.
Oh, the Soham.
That's Huntley,
Ian Huntley. And Maxine.
I've renamed
Was it Maxine Ford or something? Maxine. I can't remember the name.
I've renamed Ian Huntley. His name's now Cuntley. And
fair enough.
The woman that you're talking about, Maxine Carr.
That I knew it was Maxine something.
The thing is, well, right, and I do feel sorry for them. Not the perpetrators. Obviously, the sorrow goes out fully to the victims, to the families and the children of those that have been murdered. But imagine fucking being related to that and carrying the same surname.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because irrespective of what, you can't visit the sins of the father of the child on the father. So whatever they've done, their parents, maybe they're responsible in a way, I don't know, but you know.
Says, I agree, Viv. I remember a team a few years back involved with Myra Hindley. I remember not just teams, but certain individuals and a certain medium who everyone loves. He did it for fame, and yet he's out there. He went under the radar and people don't notice him. I remember. I'll let you know at some point, Von, when I speak, when I see you.
I think William makes a very good point there. William makes an absolutely spot on point.
Hang on, I've not got to William yet. Where is he? Where is he? There he is.
That was it. I agree. Absolutely, I agree.
Yes. I agree with him too.
They're not using the supernatural as all the elements as in the way they're intended. They're using them almost for flair. They're using them as a way of dramatising their actions and their behaviours, and it's absolutely completely supernatural, and that is the opposite of that.
Just quickly, Chantel in the house, guys.
Chantel in the house, not her again. Oh no! Right. Hi, Chantel.
I mean, Ian Brady, I mean, he taunted them
Yeah.
even the very
Absolutely,
end.
Karen.
And do you know what? He could have saved the family heartache and just told them at the very end where the boy was, but he just decided, no,
It's power.
no.
It's power, isn't it? Still having that power. One of the reasons he and that tramp are the worst is because of many reasons. Family without an answer and never known why is why I can't handle it. His book made me effing sick.
Yep.
He's a tramp who I'm sorry as a mum myself to even see a child fall makes me worry and emotional. It's true.
Oh, anybody hurts a child.
Oh God, I definitely.
No.
Ian Huntley shouldn't have watched.
That's it. End for you, I'm afraid.
Again, the problem is some people don't disclose, and this came to my conversation that me and Rosie had on my crime show last week. I did last week because I'm not doing this week. Last week, and we were talking about like people getting new identities and new.
Tori, come up, Tor.
Hello. Like getting new identities. Now, the one that really gets under my skin is James Bulger's story. John Venables and Robert Thompson. Now, they two got two identities. New identities. Not so much Robert Thompson, right? We'll never got to know who he is, right? Because for all we know. Oh, hello.
Hello.
Put this in your ear, Aldo. You won't be able to hear.
Darren.
She's really into her serial killers, you know. Meet the family, guys. There's my little Darren.
Top lad.
And a cat ball.
So, sorry to have this rant in the Wednesday. I'll keep my language to the minimum.
No, it's fine because he can't hear us because we got earphones in.
What was I going to say? So I had this conversation last week, right? So when we talk about James Bulger, we talk about, Robert Thompson and John Venables that get the new identities, right? For all we know, Robert Thompson could work among any in England. It could be in England, it could be in Scotland, it could be anywhere abroad, right? When you look at John Venables, now John Venables is in prison right now, I think, or is he out? I think he's still in for child pornography. Right?
He got done for porn, didn't he?
Why should he get another identity? People
that taxpayers pay for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
People should know who these people are. The same as Baby P Killer. What's a new identity? But she got denied. I don't see the difference to James Bulger's killers to Baby P's. At the end of the day, they still all three killed a child, regardless, right? So why should then Baby P's want a new identity? And then it was not back and told, you need to lose weight, you need to dye your hair, because that's only by you. I'm not going to get recognised.
I'll be honest with you, I think they need branding. But some were obvious on the face, right on the forehead. With exactly who they are.
I don't think they should be allowed out of prison. And they should be allowed to mix with proper inmates, where the proper inmates can rip them a new one.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if they were out of nick, they wouldn't last long.
I'm looking. Are you her sister? She's my paranormal sister.
Hello, hi sister.
This is my daughter.
Oh, I know. I can tell the difference. That's what I was about to say. Yeah, you just look so alike. It's like Vivian. Vivian.
Daughter-in-law. She's married into, sort of.
Is she? I thought you two were actually daughter and mother.
Do we look alike?
They do, Mum. rather. They do Von. They do literally get away with murder.
But that's why I agree with the American laws. I'm not saying all the American laws I agree with, but I agree with the simple fact that life is life over there. That's just the way it is, and you don't even get to pass go.
The thing is, I think they need to bring back executions. And you know what? It wouldn't be a bad thing to do a public one every now and again, just to keep everyone on their toes. I'd go for the job as executioner. I wouldn't mind.
I would pull that. I would pull the lever. I'm the most gentle individual in the world, but I would pull the child. Anybody hurts a child, I'd pull the lever on them.
Yeah, but it's not just children, though, is it?
But
not just children.
No, I'm talking about
rapists.
anybody that hurts a child.
Yeah, but rapists, they shouldn't be walking around
they don't deserve to live. They don't deserve to live either.
No. But there's a flip side of this, though, guys.
I think the difference between that and rape, though, is rape is a lot of people have been accused of that and then been found out to have not been guilty of it.
The whole family's here now. Look, the cat's joined in.
Oh, hi, John.
Whereas with child pornography and murder, it's a definitive thing, isn't it? It's a definite thing.
What happens though when kids are killing kids? Would you execute a child?
No, you leave them to rot.
That is a difficult scenario.
Well, I mean, you're going back to the little Bulger again, aren't you? Because they were kids when they did it.
But then again, if a child is capable, I love, my favourite thing in the world to talk, I love the debate in nature nurture. You can have the perfect upbringing, but be a total bastard, or you could have the shittiest upbringing that just sends you over the edge.
I don't buy into that nature and nurture thing. I think that you're born that way. I think there's something wired wrong in you.
There's something wired wrong in me, but I wouldn't kill someone.
That morally you're bankrupt.
I don't know.
And that you've got disdain for human life. And I think that if you're born that way, then why would you want to live anyway, being like that? I mean, obviously they can't see anything wrong in themselves, but what's the point or purpose of it?
What do you think about the Amityville horror? Do you think that was crime, or do you think that was paranormal? I would love to.
He admitted in prison that the whole thing was made up to cover his crime.
Hi, Paul.
Didn't he?
Hi, Paul.
He admitted that it was all made up to help with his Mr. Mold's in the house. Woo, woo, woo.
Woo!
But yeah, they just use that as the excuse. And
I've not followed the Amityville for a couple of years.
No disrespects, but the Warrens jumped all over that and made it something that it wasn't.
But they turned everything into a theatre, like after dinner theatre show, didn't they? Really?
Yeah.
I think most of the things they touched, they turned into an after dinner theatre show, and it was all publicity, isn't it? It's all self-promotion.
Yeah, I agree with Terry on this. Once they kill someone, you qualify your rights.
Well, look at there's a case in England where a guy murdered. Was it England? His guy murdered his girlfriend, and it was in the paper a couple of weeks ago. And the kids now live with her mum, but if she wants to do anything with the kids, or the kids need anything medical help, then she's got to go and ask him in the prison if that's all right.
It's gone mad. World gone mad. He should have those rights lifted. Once he's done that, end of, mate. You've got no say in nothing.
Has anybody answered my question? All right. Does anybody believe in the use of Ouija boards in identifying criminals?
Nah.
I've got a really interesting story about an Ouija board.
I've never used a Ouija board, so I'm not the person to ask.
I'm going back to early 70s. My mum had a Ouija board. She bought it in a toy shop, and she sat with my nan in her kitchen doing this Ouija board session. I don't know where I was. I was in bed, most probably somewhere. Anyway, and she was happily married to my father. This Ouija board kept saying that he was the Ripper. He was saying that he was working. He's doing dinosaurs. He was saying that he was doing his work through somebody else's hands. He said that he spoke to this gentleman through a gravestone. It also gave my mum, it gave her the message that she will divorce, and it gave her a date. So they didn't know who this was. He wouldn't give his name. He just kept saying he was the Ripper. Board got put away. A couple of years later, all this big news story broke about Peter Sutcliffe, about the Yorkshire Ripper, and that he was hearing a voice through a grave. He was a grave digger. He heard a voice telling him to do what he did, kill the prostitutes, which they found was very strange because my mum was already told that is exactly what was going to happen. My mum ended up divorcing my dad, and the decree nisi, when it arrived, was 1 day out from the date that was given on the Ouija board. He'd already told my mum that she was going to divorce, and she did. Is that just all coincidence? Two things happened there. If it was just one, I'd say, oh yeah, that could be coincidence. But there was two things that happened. And it was only after Peter Sutcliffe was caught, and in interviews, he said he heard a voice telling him to kill the prostitutes through this this particular gravestone. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it.
I think a lot of people, though, that kill the vulnerable, which is like the prostitutes and, I don't know, homeless people, they always claim that it's a voice in their head.
Yeah.
They're ridding the world of dirty people because that's what people see. Regardless, none of us are ever going to admit it. You see a homeless person and you instantly think tramp. Everyone does, regardless if you help them or not. You always think the first thing in your head is tramp because we're all like it. We all judge. And I think people that do hurt people like that instantly believe they are cleaning our streets.
Yeah.
And that's because of the voices in their head. But there isn't no voices in their head. It's what they're psychologically brought up to think.
Yeah.
I could be raising a killer for all I know because I go, oh my God, that's an idiot. Oh, look at that tramp. He could grow up thinking tramps are dirty and he could end up killing them.
No,
it's nothing to do with what I've done. It'd be because of what I've done, but not. I haven't put that knife in his hand. I've just put the words in his mouth to create the backlash of the consequence.
I totally agree. Sorry, what's your name again? I'm bad with names.
Tori.
I totally agree with you, Tori.
You can never win. People say there's voices. People say that a board taught them to do it.
Well,
I think it's everyone that had their life and how they grew.
See, when we're going to Chantel's question, right? Chantel put a question up there saying, what about using demonic possession or attachment as the appeal in the court of law to avoid sentencing? There is a guy that's in Scotland that's in Carstairs for life. Yeah. And it's supposed to be there's a bridge, I think it's in Dunfermline, called the Overton Bridge. And what the myth says is that there's dog suicides, and this bridge, when you're walking your dogs, that they always jump off to the right side of the bridge.
Oh
for some
yes,
reason.
I know the bridge. Yeah, I know the
right.
Bridge. I know of it.
There was a man who threw his 2-year-old off of that bridge, and it was at the right side of the bridge, and he had said that obviously some had told him that his child had to go because his child was evil and things like that, and he got into Carstairs for life, and he'll never be let back out until this day. But he keeps saying that there was something on that bridge that told him.
But you know what? I think that these people that claim demonic possession or attachments and things in court to try and get away with what they've done, they're just proving a case of mental stability. And they'll never be released. I mean, we've got a prison, a very famous prison here called Broadmoor, which is for the criminally insane.
Oh, I would love to work there.
You wouldn't. But they're just making a pathway for themselves to get to Broadmoor. I think our governments and our local governments, it depends on what their laws are at the time. And I know that famous case in America, the Amityville Horror, oh God, I forget his name, the guy that did all the shootings and stuff. He's admitted to it all being a lie. Now he's in prison for life and he's never going to come out, no chance of parole. He's now admitted to everything, that it was all made up just to help him with his court
Ronald, I think it was Ronald I can't pronounce his
Defoe.
name.
That's it. Yes. Yeah, that's him. So, yeah. And you know what? Let's not all put it all on mental health, because some people know exactly what they're doing, that it is wrong.
Yep.
Because Jeffrey Dahmer, I'll take him for an example. He knew it was wrong, and he said when he was arrested, he knew it was wrong. He just wanted to kill them, so he did. He wanted to eat them, so he did. And he said he knew it was wrong, and he accepted full responsibility. So
See, I think that's the problem, though, isn't it? A lot of people misidentify evil as mental health, and they're two totally different things.
Yeah,
That's judgment on everyone's behalf, though. Everyone judges mental health. Borderline personality disorder.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that people bring up mental health as the problem or an excuse, but the difference is that there's evil out there, which has absolutely got nothing to do with someone's mental state.
It's evil that's bred into you. It's bred into you.
I don't think it is. I think it's there. I think it's inherent. I think it's inherent in the genetics. Not all families have it, but I think it just pops up with individuals.
Oh, I need to watch that, Terry, if you can remember the name of the documentary. Mental illness can be
they can, William, because obviously if somebody's in a poor state of mental health, then they're weak and they're open to some sort of spiritual attack.
But yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, I just love this whole subject. I can always remember sitting with my gran and papa and watching crime programmes and being that Miss Marple, as I put as my name tonight.
Do you know what? If you hear growling, I apologise. It's the grandson doing dinosaurs down there.
I thought it was you, Viv.
He's having a 2 pence to put in.
Oh. But yeah, I always remember just sitting watching crime shows, and it started off watching Target and things like that, and then my papa, I can always remember watching, it was something on Channel 5, and it was about reconstruction of American files or case files or something like that, and I can always remember sitting there and glued, and my gran would be like bedtime, and I'd be like, oh gran, 5 more minutes, I want to see it then.
I don't know what you're doing to the calendar.
I remember watching Police 5, in my day it was all called Police 5, and it was some serious crimes. Yeah, Shaw Taylor, but it wasn't just murders. He would talk about armed robberies and things like that. You don't hear of an armed robbery these days, do you really? They seem to
everywhere.
They don't make balaclavas like they used to. Nowhere to stick the sawn off.
That was the days of the Sweely, wasn't it? Sawing off shotguns and.
Oh God! Look at Bronson. Bronson, do you know, he makes me laugh. I shouldn't laugh at any criminal, but he does make me laugh because he only went in for armed robbery and no serving life because he's flattering hell at the clubs.
I've got a letter that he describes what he did as really silly, and he actually in the letter he says he regrets what he did, and I've actually got that letter somewhere. I've put it in the DVDs. I used to write to Bronson. I wanted him to do me a painting, but he did nice little drawings on the letter. But,
do you know what made me laugh? Right, I was watching a podcast. My favourite podcaster is James English, and I was watching
he's good, James. That's Scottish guy.
I absolutely love
him.
And he was interviewing Bronson's son, and he phoned the prison, and obviously we're sitting talking. It was like one of the he was talking about when he had held hostage 3 Iraqis. Now I shouldn't laugh, but the story was so funny. I think there had been some sort of incident the day beforehand, and Bronson went into I can picture the scene when he's telling the story. Bronson's went into the cell and went, well, you 3 are the hostages of me now. And what was it he did? He had tied one up and put them under the bed. He had one like a noose around one's neck, and he got the other one to tickle his feet. And he had made 3. He wanted he made 3 demands. He wanted an AK. he wanted some jam sandwiches, and he wanted, I think it was a plane or something, I could be wrong. And his son asked him, why did you, like, what the fuck? Why did you want jam sandwiches? He says, well, I was hungry.
Yeah. Terry says the country would save a lot of money if lethal injection was brought in. It would be humane and free up space. I've got a question for you, Terry. Why do you think lethal injection is more humane?
See, to be honest, that's a double-edged sword, because
It's not.
everything's a double-edged sword, because the person could be innocent and you could discover that years later, and then you killed.
But what he doesn't realise, lethal injection starts days before, because he has to have the antihistamines put in first. Then he has to have something else injected first. Then he's got to be taken into this room and strapped on a gurney like that. It's not humane.
I like what they do in China. Do you know what they do in China?
What they
Shoot
do?
them.
That only sex offenders, people like that, child molesters.
Castrate them.
No, what they do is they sentence them to death, but they never give them a death date. And then what they do, they lock them in a little small cabinet that's about 3 foot by about 4 foot. So they can just sit in there, and it's totally dark. And what they do is they wear like heavy shoes. And so every time you hear them coming down the landing, you never know whether they're coming for you or not, because they won't give you the date of your death.
He's found
So psychologically,
he's found Bigfoot.
So psychologically, it screws their brains. It screws their minds.
It's Singapore.
She hasn't even been listening.
I haven't got hero.
Singapore. Singapore that they take them out.
See you later, guys.
See you later,
Tori.
I've got to go and chase that.
Bye.
Later.
Bye, Tori.
It's Singapore. They take them out every night at 6 o'clock.
They do what, sorry?
In Singapore, at 6 o'clock every night, you'll hear a gunshot, and that's what they're doing, because they're taking one prisoner out and killing them every night at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
6 o'clock their time.
Yeah. Or use them for hunting.
In the Middle East, there's no pomp or ceremony. They're just taken out into the street in front of the official building, let's say. They're taken out, beheaded, done. Somebody comes along, picks the body up, and they're out there with the hose pipe, then washing all the blood into the drains.
Do you know what, though? I do think to myself, sometimes it's that, if you pardon the pun, sometimes execution's like a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because I think, yeah, it does need doing, and we do need it for those type of crimes where there's absolutely no grey area. But then on the other side, I think, why should they get out so fucking easy? Wouldn't it be better to just keep them somewhere and just let them live their lives, but torture them to the point where they know exactly what they've done and why they're suffering it?
So what do you think about paranormal investigators going to these places and investigating, and afterwards knowing that there was all these brutal deaths, or the killer lived there? Or
I think so long as it's got to the period of time where those that are associated with the crimes, or those that have been associated with what has gone on there, and those that are the living sort of relatives of that period are gone, I think it's fine. I think don't do it when somebody's... I mean, for example, do you remember that woman, the girl in America, who was married to that absolute prick who murdered her and the children, and then he rolled their bodies up?
Chris what?
That prick. Mm-hmm. Well, there's a guy, an American ghost hunter, and he said, I'm out near their house. I can't think where they lived. I can't remember where it was. And he went there and he put some, like a toy or something down, and I thought, yeah, that's all right, but why are you filming that? Why do you feel the need to film that, to put that on the internet? And then as he walked away, he shot round and he's gone, I've just seen a child's face up there. I've just seen a child's face. There's somebody in that window, but there's nobody in there. There's somebody up there. Oh, guys, what's going on? And he made a fucking episode out of it. And the girl hadn't been, they're not cold. The family weren't cold.
Ghost hunters did exactly the same. They went to a farm where they dug up loads of bodies from a serial killer. And then while they were there, they themselves were digging up they found human bones. Yeah, that episode.
Was that Fox Farm in America, Viv? Was that Fox Ranch?
And that still went out and aired. Haunted Collector. They went in somebody's house and then they got permission to do whatever on a wall. And they found human remains. I don't think that episode ever went to air, but there was a lot of talk about it that they actually found the body.
Wasn't that the small tattoo shop?
I don't know,
They found remains in the wall.
But we're going to see Brian Kano next month, so we'll ask him. We'll ask him about.
But that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, I think that there needs to be some decorum there, doesn't there, and a little bit of self-restraint. And you know, it's all very well investigating these horrific murders and.
Hi, Carol.
But you know, so long as it's done after a suitable period, when nobody's then going to suffer from it, you know.
But
you could make their life hell, though, couldn't you, Von?
Yeah.
Rather than give them a one-way ticket out of it.
I think if the victims and all that were gone and you did it respectfully, but not to try and up your ratings or try and think I'm really particular on that one.
Social media has a lot to blame for it. The creation of the internet and what the internet can do
well,
has a lot to do with it.
Celebrity goes to
well, I mean, I know because I wouldn't. If I didn't come on Facebook, then I wouldn't have met you guys, and then I wouldn't have met Jack, and then I wouldn't have met other people that I have met. But yes, I take that all away. I do blame social media. I blame social media for a lot of things. I blame social media for when you report something that you see that's bad. Like there was a video no long ago. I can't remember if it was this year, not when it went this year. Must have been last year, where a guy committed suicide on a live. Everybody complained for 2 hours. Facebook didn't do nothing for 2 hours, and everybody was reporting that, and it just the social media's a lot to blame for a lot of things. As you say, it's a lot of influences and things like that.
But there's also use for a lot of good, because through social media and through Facebook, there was a program on Netflix called, I don't know if you've seen it, it's called Don't Fuck with Cats. And it's all about how they
heard about it, but I've not watched it.
They caught he was going out killing people, and they caught him through somebody on social media. A couple of people got together and they caught him. They found out who he was, where he was, what he was doing, and he actually did kill somebody, and they caught him red-handed. So there is good and there is bad, but I think in between, somewhere along the way, people have lost their minds and don't know how to behave.
You know why, don't you? Because I think that social media has removed people from reality. So what they're sitting on the screen and what they're reading is they're not experiencing it firsthand, but they're absorbing it. And so what it's doing is it's reflecting upon their mental health, and it's causing all sorts of problems. And I mean, social media is great, but look at the amount how paedophilia has opened up, and the amount of connections and routes that people have found through the internet to connect to each other. And you know, people they don't have to put themselves at risk now. They can just press a button and get millions of these pictures of children.
They call it the dark web, isn't it? I mean, to be honest, Dan, I wouldn't even know how to access the dark web. I wouldn't want to.
It's all of it. It's all of it. The whole thing is rotten. The internet was meant to be there for a good purpose, but all people have used it for, they've used it to become insular, and they can say what they want and be as nasty as they want, because obviously they're not doing it in the real world, are they?
No.
And so that has a knock-on effect then within
society.
The same as...
There's the same. A lot of people out there have called me for everything. Do you know what? If I had a long list of what I've been called but the kitchen sink, and do you know what? If I had to see these people face to face in the street, would they really say it to my face?
No, they wouldn't.
Do you know, Miss Marple, I've had it too over the years. All these keyboard warriors, they want to say all of this stuff, then they'd never say it to your face. But I tell you now, if they're talking about you, they're leaving somebody else alone.
Oh, that doesn't bother me.
I see that as a bonus. And if they're not talking about me, I'm just thinking, oh, damn, you know. They say there's no such thing as bad publicity, and I really do genuinely believe that, you know.
I just think it's... Go on, sorry, Lois.
No, you go, my darling.
No, I'm just saying, I think what it's done is it's just made it incestuous. It's made everybody get together and just criticise each other, and it's vile, really. I mean, if you go, I'm going go back to the 70s, prior to this, you know, sure people were arseholes, sure there was mass murderers out there. We had all that, of course we did.
Yeah.
But society ticks along a lot better and a lot healthier than it seems to be doing today.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know?
I agree. It's like if they're talking about you, then they're doing something right.
Yeah. That's absolutely spot on, Terry. Yep. Spot on, mate. Absolutely spot on.
Do you know what makes me laugh, Dan? Right? I was about 15 years old, and I had this boyfriend, and he was best friends with the boy next door. They were like that, inseparable. And his dad had a great big shed in his back garden where he was making a kit car. He had this Morgan that he was trying to build. But they had a lovely garden, and the dog used to go out there and dig it. And one day, the dog had come in with this bone, and it was huge. It was a long, thin bone. It was huge like that.
Like a femur.
And the wife says, that looks like a human bone. And the husband says, I think it is the human bone. We better call the police. So they called the police. The police came and took the bone away. A couple of days later, they came back, cordoned off the garden, started digging it all up, kicked the family out, saying, you can't be here. We've got to dig your garden. Don't leave the country. Yeah, it's now a crime scene. What it was, they found a human skeleton, missing a few bones, in the garden, and it came from plague. And you know what? Back then, everyone was like, oh, they all come out and had a good old nose. And it's like, ooh. But in today's day, if that had happened, because they touched this bone, oh, the keyboard warriors should not have touched that bone, should do this, should do that. You know, let alone it was an ancient, it's classed as an ancient burial site, but it was what it was. It was just a human that was buried in the back garden to keep quiet, about the play. Anyway, I digress. What my point is when people go out and they will find bones, human bones, whether it's here in America or wherever.
They're everywhere.
And people touch them. Like if I was to see a human skull when I'm out in the forests with Dan now, I'd pick it up. Is that real? Oh, let me see. And I'd pick it up. Now somebody
because you'd think it was a kid's toy, wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. And now somebody got slated recently because they did exactly that. They found a human skull, they picked it up, examined it before calling the police. Now, I don't know if the upshot of that was a murder or they found this washed up somewhere or whatever. I don't know. But it's human nature to pick things up. And I think, again, I blame the internet. They're all self-righteous on this. You shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that. Of course, human nature. You are going to pick it up. You are going to touch it. I am not going to call the police out because of a toy.
Mm-hmm.
And what did that copper say to him when he said to the copper straight up, I lifted it up and touched it. Is that a problem? And the copper went, it's out in the open. He said, no, I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Yeah.
So,
I'd be worried. I would be worried in case, obviously, I put my fingerprints on it. Like that would be my fight.
I'd want to take it home. How much could I get for this on the internet? I'd be saying to the copper, when you finished with it, when you've done your thing, if it's nothing too bad, can I have it back?
I would just
victim.
I would love to just keep it for the Halloween season, stick it out the front, and people are coming up thinking, oh, it's fake. But that's my sort of humour about it. I mean, the internet has got a lot to answer for, let's face it. I don't even call Facebook, I call it Faceache.
Yeah, it is.
It's awful. It's a cesspit. It really is.
It's also a powerful tool as well if it's used in the right way.
If it was used properly, it'd be very good, but it's not. People have abused it, and that's the problem, isn't it? And now you've got a world of elites, but you've got a world of elites using it to control the masses, and it's just become a tool of manipulation and lies.
Bobberman.
The Bobberman. The
Oh,
Boberman.
right, I see. I couldn't remember, so I said this Boberman. The first
Boberman.
word that
Boberman.
came out my word.
Sell it on eBay. It's a haunted skull.
Oh, that's actually gave me an idea for Tuesdays, since Gary said that.
It's only literally up the road there, isn't it, Sal? It's literally about 100 yards.
Shall we go? Shall we go, Dan? I'm doing my gardening, so I'm good with digging right now. I'll put my wellies on.
They go mental if they call us in there, I tell you. It's now it's a listed area now.
We'll go at night. No one to find
But
us. No one to see us.
It's a sad area. It's a sad area because where I live is on Gallows Hill. So right here was the gallows, and there was a jail as well. And what they used to do is they'd wheel them out, and then they would hang them up just up there, and then they buried them literally over there. So I don't know, maybe a couple of 100 yards from where I live. So, but it's lovely now because what they've done is it's all forested, and they put like a lot of pagan signs in there. Like they put like the Green Man, the Guardians of the Woods and stuff like that. So it's very peaceful now.
Did they not gibbet them?
Some they did, I guess. Yeah, some they did, but some they just hanged them
up here
took them down
near me. We got a gibbet. So you've got the mounds that they built, and you've got the concrete part, and you have a gibbet where they would hang the gibbets from at the crossroads. So people driving past would see the wretch
like a warning, wasn't it? Not to, They used to tar them so it preserved the body for longer.
Yeah, it's still there, but they've put a McDonald's nearby now, so you can go and get a McDonald's and look at the gibbet at the same time.
Are you guys ever seen the Mrs. Brown's movie?
I can't stand
Not the movie.
Brown.
No, right? Because you two can dress up as the blind ninjas to get into that place. Claim you didn't see it.
You know, I was more of a Father
Ted.
What's his name? Father Ted.
Brilliant.
I love Father Ted.
Father Ted, very clever, very, very funny.
Dan's more like the guy that sits in the chair and says, "Drink."
Father Jack.
Gareth.
You know, my favourite one is when he steps outside the door and the guy says to him, "I hear you're a racist now, Father."
That's it. Yeah.
Oh, you can't beat
Should we all be racist? What's the church's view on it?
It's when Dougal converts the bishop and says, "What if there's no heaven in hell?"
I'm more like you, Mrs. What's her name?
Mrs. Doyle.
Would you like a cup of tea now,
Mrs.
Father?
Doyle.
Go on.
Go on.
Would you have a cup of tea? Would you have a cup of tea now, Father?
I would say sometimes I could be quite like Dougal, just quite in that,
I think we can all
reality
be.
dreams.
Everybody has Dougal moments. Everybody can be like Dougal.
I think I look like Mrs. Doyle.
Oh.
But no, serial killers, psychopaths, like the psychopath brain really intrigues me because not all of them kill, and they do damage other ways. And I think that social media, believe it or not, this is my opinion, I believe that social media has bred a lot of psychopathic behaviour.
Yeah, it probably has. It's probably inhibited it and brought it out.
Porn and all that now.
Not inhibited, but it's probably brought it out, brought it to the fore more, I guess. You see a lot of narcissism as well, don't you, in people now?
Yeah.
You know, you would never have.
Who's Marple? Oh, it's Agri Chris. I can't even pronounce her name.
Agatha Christie.
That's her. She wrote a book called Miss Marple, and she's basically like a wee Mrs. Inspector woman.
She's a genius, isn't she?
She is. She's quite funny. Social media causes panic.
Yeah, it causes all sorts of mental health problems. It's a vicious thing, Rosie. Or it can be.
I think it can also breed killers.
Well,
and the reason I say that is because people argue with one another, and then it spills outside of social media, and then people turn up mop-handed. I mean, somebody I've seen I don't know, but I've seen, has been threatened that many times, and people have actually turned up on investigations mob-handed. Somebody had their car damaged as a warning. I mean, what if it happened to the person or the individual? You know, if somebody is bullied to the extreme that they take their own life, to me, the people that have done the bullying are
You could
guilty of their
all
murder.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
you could almost say it's like a, and heaven forbid, and cheek and tongue for me using this scenario, but it could almost be like Charles Manson. Everybody says he's a serial killer. Now I did a college paper on him and I passed it in criminology. I don't. He
Did
wasn't
he
a
not
serial
actually do it
killer.
himself? He didn't
He was a,
actually do it
he was a
himself.
manipulator, wasn't he?
Later.
He was a mass manipulator. So in
Clever.
my eyes, he wasn't a serial killer as
No,
such. Yes, he murdered one person. Yes, he did rape someone. They've got now a child together.
exactly, Ron.
But I wouldn't say that he was a serial killer. So it's
No,
kind
I
of in
wouldn't.
that sense, it's like a mass manipulation. So if you drive somebody to suicide, I would put that under mass manipulation.
And
Yeah.
that's what people need to be careful on social media pages, not to bully, because if you're inciting people to bully other fellow investigators, and you pick one individual out, and it's a constant bombardment. If they do take their own lives, you're equally as guilty for their murder as if you'd put a knife in them or shot them or whatever yourself.
Yeah.
So I just think people need to be very careful with one another and how you behave. It's just ridiculous at
And
the minute.
it's actually getting even worse that the whole everything's PC. Like back in the days when you look at the old comedies, right? You look at
Exactly,
certain,
Terry.
certain like we'll take Faulty Towers, the most famous scene
Exactly.
is Faulty Towers with the Germans, right? And he does the Hitler walk, right? No, I'm not even doing because I'll be shut down for what I did, right? Well, there you go, baby, I did it
Who
for
You'd be
you.
won?
like Count Dankula.
No, that
Uh,
I think one of
it,
them is Nazi and the other one is White Kingdom, isn't it? I don't know which. I
Is
don't.
it? It
Yeah.
looked like you
I
were
didn't
disco
even know
dancing
that.
then, Viv.
But right, so you look at that was acceptable back then. Now in the society that we live in, they're trying to change all the old scenes comedies because it could be racist, seen as racist, and this and that. But then back then, they had no filter. They didn't care.
No.
Well,
And
well,
nobody got offended, really, did they? People
you
just didn't get
say
offended.
you
You could
say
get a
that
fence and
you say that. My dad would never ever watch Love Thy Neighbour. Because my dad is a Sikh, and he's been in the UK for a long, long time, but he would never watch it. Yet my mum would put it on, and my mum and dad would end up having an argument. So you say people didn't mind. Some people didn't mind, but when you look back at it today, and you look at something like Love Thy Neighbour, it was really
It was.
bad.
It was, but I think a lot of it was just to accentuate, wasn't it, the way that people were, and in kind of an over, sort of an overinflated way, isn't it? Just to point out that it's like somebody said to, what's his name, the Jewish guy, the Alf Garnett fella.
Oh yeah.
Somebody said to him at Spurs, they went up to him and said, "Oh, I love the way you come across, Alf. They called him Alf. Oh, it's brilliant, about them deep, and all the other lot and dirty. And he went, "You don't get it, do you?" He said, "Them character," he went, "is to show you how ridiculous and thick and stupid people like you are," he went. Not to highlight the fact that they're funny. He said, but to laugh at you, not with you. And that's exactly, and I thought, you know what, it's a great answer.
Yeah. I can't get into the logic of why these people that bully cannot just move on. If they're not happy with someone, then don't watch. But to continue pick away at someone to suicide is manslaughter. Yeah, and I think I know who you're talking about there, Von. And it is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
But yeah, I mean, I love the old comedies. They're
That speaks
like,
volumes, Rosie, doesn't it?
yeah. That's my co-host in my crime show.
Oh, hi,
My,
Rosie.
my wee Rosie Posey.
Hi, Rosie.
But yeah, it's very like PC. I think the world's way too over PC. I mean, they're trying to change nursery rhymes that have been around for millennium times. They're trying
Do you know what? History is history. You can't change it. You just got to use it to move away from the negative aspects of
I
it.
will always teach my grandson Bar Black Sheep. And I'm saying it. I don't care if you get offended or not. The sheep is black. We'll sing Bar Black Sheep.
Yeah, but you look at a lot. Go on, sorry, Viv.
So we sit and watch and do nursery rhymes the way they should be sang. And we point things out like blackbirds, and we sing to, and it's all what I call genuine teaching and learning. And he needs to know the basics. He needs to know what's a man, what's a lady. He needs to know male and female. And I'm not going to teach him otherwise, because I think this binary thing is just ridiculous.
It's all ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
That is how we're born, with male or female genitalia. Okay, we might be mixed up later on in life. It doesn't matter. But
you know what? The last thing I want to be is a fat bloke who's unhealthy and got no money. But here I am.
Yeah.
This is who I
wish you'd stop putting yourself down here. You've got a lot to hold on to.
The reality is that that's the reality of it. You are what you are, and all the hoping and wishing on the star in the world, and people pandering to me and pampering me and trying to make me feel good and wearing badges with colours on to make me feel more inclusive doesn't help. It causes more division.
I think what makes me laugh is like me being obviously bisexual, when a lot of some of the women are great, you actually find that most of the women banter back with me and think it's absolutely hilarious.
But do you not find, though, Lois, that the people that are the ones that are there going, oh, you can't have a go at the black people, you can't have a go at Asian people, you can't have a go at Irish people, you can't have a go at gay people. Gay people, black people, Irish people, Asian people don't really care. It's white, middle-class, liberal females that are pushing that agenda.
Actually,
Gollywog. Can I just quickly say that the Gollywog, Von, it originates in Egypt, if I can remember rightly. The Gollywog.
Yeah, they call it.
It's got nothing to do with the black person. I think that's what it was turned into over times. But
I think it was Blyton that utilised it to represent black people, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think my Gollywog is up in the loft now, but my son used to have it with him in his pushchair. It's an original Gollywog. He's got his tails on and everything, and he would take that Gollywog everywhere. And I got frowned upon as a mother because my son had a Gollywog, and I just thought, you know what? As long as my son's happy, I don't care what you think, and you will not tell me how to bring my son up.
Who cares?
It's Gollywog though. I'm big thing with. Is that the hat, and it's the black face?
He's on Robertson's Jam, the old jam jars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a teddy. It's like a teddy bear, really.
It's a bit of rag. It's a rag doll, basically.
If you go with that, well, all right then. If you're going to be like that, let's get rid of those toy leprechauns. Surely that's a negative representation of Irish people.
I can't help being perfect. And you are perfect, Terry, in every way.
You are perfect.
In every way.
Or you could turn around and say, get rid of everything that's orange because it's offensive to gingers. It's
a
Where do you draw the line? Where do you draw the line in this? And the thing is like, be careful backing some of those agendas today, because you'll find that that's going to come back and bite you in the arse tomorrow. Because at some point you can't keep up with the amount of changes, and at some point there's something you've said in the past that's going to come back and haunt you.
See what Terry says there.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you know, I wanted to know...
You know what the term, I'm not going to say it, but WOG means? It means Western Oriental Gentleman. That's what it means. But people obviously don't go into that. They don't want to know about the reality of the, the truth behind something. It's right, Terry. It's absolutely right. That is what it's from.
Yeah, and it was filmed. That was filmed down the road.
People don't care. I went to school with thousands of kids from all different nationalities and different backgrounds and religions. Nobody gave a toss.
As I said, see, as long I wouldn't care if you were yellow with purple spots. I don't care if you were an alien to a different country.
Doesn't matter.
To a different planet, even. See, as long.
Do you know what? When my kids, especially Damon, when he was younger, it was all the rage then in the junior school. If he didn't like something, it was called gay. And he had no idea what gay meant. And then one day I said, right, we're going to sit down and watch Thomas the Tank Engine. I don't like Thomas, he's gay. So then I had to have the conversation with him about the birds and the bees and then what gay actually meant. And then he stopped using the word gay. It's as simple as that. It comes down to education.
I must admit, for a laugh, right, I told my sister, I'll never forget it. My sister had that conversation with me, and for a laugh, I told her it meant happy, and she went in and told my gran. She went in and told my gran and papa that my dad was gay.
Do you know my dad used to say to me when I was a kid?
It's what it used to mean, though, isn't it?
If I did something weird when I was a kid, my dad would say to me, and I remember him saying it, you know, oh, you're a queer fella, you are.
Yes.
It meant unusual. It meant you're unusual. It didn't mean, you know, the connotations that are around it, oh, you're a queer one, you are.
Yeah, and I think in middle-class England, when they find something strange or odd, unusual, they'd say, how queer. It doesn't mean you're gay.
I must admit, I'm terrible sometimes because, see, if I meet somebody and I think, oh, they're a bit weird, I'll say, oh, they're queer hawks. And my pal, he's gay, and do you know what? I love him a bit, and he'll turn around and he'll be like, you're a fine man to talk, you bisexual bitch, you greedy bitch, you know? I'm like,
but that's the thing, though, isn't it? The thing is that I think the problem with the world now is that we spend too long labelling each other and dividing each other when we should be concentrating on the things that we have in common.
Uniting one another. Yeah. Von says, how many times the N-word is said at the rap songs at the end of the night? But you know what? I used to have a coloured friend who used to call me his nigger. He used to say, Vivian, my nigger. And I used to say, what, is it because I is black? And he used to laugh at me. But you know what? It's how it's said. It's how it's said. I think if it's said in malice, then it means
people don't get offended, do they? Then because it was a joke. It was meant as what it was meant as. It was just meant as like, you know what it's like. If you love someone and you think the world of them, you're continually ripping the piss out of them.
I know. Do you know what? I always tell people, right? With me, see if I like you and I take the utter. See if I take the utter piss at you, I love you to bits. That's me. Like
exactly.
Me. See if I don't take the piss at you, I don't like you.
Do you remember, Terry? Do you remember that camp coffee, that liquid coffee in a bottle called Camp?
With the Indian soldier and the British soldier. They're both British soldiers, weren't they? But there was one who was a Sikh.
Camp coffee. Oh.
Camp coffee. That was strong stuff. That was. They must still do that.
I think they still do. Don't go up to an American policeman and say, "Could you?" Do you know what I said? Okay, I was in a very, very posh hotel in California, and there's one of these hotels. They leave the new daily newspaper on the doormat for you, you know, in the morning. Okay. And I'd put on yesterday's clothing to. As soon as I get up, I want a cigarette. So I run all the way downstairs and out through the back to a place where I can stand and have a cigarette. And as I was coming down, I mean, the woman in the next room had seen me in the same clothes, and she gave me an odd look. She bent down to pick her. I went, "It's all right, love. I'm just going down for a fag." Her face just dropped. And
imagine if you said, "I'm just going down to suck off a fag or two."
But our gay friends and my friends in America say, "Look, you cannot say that here because it has a derogatory meaning over it." I said, "Really?" I said, "Oh, what I've got to say then?" "Oh, you've got to say I'm going down for a cigarette." I said, "Yeah, but it's not a cigarette to me. It's a fag." And they said, "No, you can't say that." So I'll just go and say I'm going down for a long suck then.
Do you know what I love that about America? Do you love that about America? They're so prim and proper. They're so guarded on what they say. Yeah, you can get a gun and go out and just kill everybody.
But we can't speak English. We're not speaking English. The Americans speak English. We don't speak English, apparently.
I must admit, my friends are in America, like Rosie and Lisa and all that. It's amazing because they love some of the things that I say and the way that I come away with it. And they're like, so, it's like the Scottish. Some of the things we say in Scotland as well is quite touchline. You have Frankie Boyle as a prime example of what Scottish humour.
What's that? That's what I meant to ask you, actually, while talking about Scottisms and Scottish. When they say pish, is that a mix between piss and shit?
No, it's just
or is it just piss?
It's just piss. It's like...
right.
And
a
shit is just a jobby.
A big job, yeah.
I
love that because I still love I love Still Game. So they use that's brilliant, hilarious. One of the best comedies ever, hilarious. But I watched that and they're in the lift and I stinks a pish.
And do you know what? It's so funny. Sometimes I forget, like, see when like we add in when I was talking to Bill, I forget and I try my best to talk like English, like pronounce my words as yes, no, and I'll forget sometimes where I am and I'll start going aye, when, how. I'll start speaking pure Scottish, and then do you know that with Bill? While Bill made me laugh because he waited to the very end. I've got to give him his dues. He was very polite about it and went, I couldn't understand the word you were saying. It's like, well.
What is he like? It's like I can understand it clearly. It's not a problem or an issue,
I think it depends on where you are in Scotland because where I'm in Ayrshire. A lot of people, further up Scotland you get is the further up. Like sometimes I can't even understand people that say stay in wee islands and things like that. I used to work, and there's a man I work with in particular that comes from Aberdeen, and sometimes I've actually got to listen to what he's saying because I don't get it sometimes.
I think the hardest accent.
It's like us with the Cornish and that, and people further up north can't.
No, I think it's Southern Ireland, and I don't think it's the women. I think it's the men in Southern Ireland that have that really thick, broad accent. But when they talk, they speak really fast. Like my ex's father used to say to my kids, "Don't be bald," and I think, what the hell does that mean? It used to chase the kids and go, "Don't be bald, don't be bald." Thinking, well, what the hell are you talking about? And then years later, after he died, somebody explained it to me.
Gary's comment, don't you just love this show from serial killers to the way we talk, lol?
I know. We just go off piece all the time.
we did go off on piece.
This blame me. I just get used to
it. Yeah, Wild Bill does make me laugh.
Love the Scottish accent. Gary's. Do you know what I love in particular? I love like Viv's accent. I love the way Dan talks, but I just love everything about Dan.
Everybody else does as well.
Mine is mixed up.
I'm first in line.
Mine's not a true accent. I'm very mixed up now. I used to be very, very common. Since moving up to Cambridge, I've gone a little bit push. But when I'm on the phone to my dad, the Indian accent comes out, and I used to talk to my nan. My Geordie accent used to come out because she was from.
Oh, I love Geordie.
She was from Newcastle, so I used to get on the phone and speak to my nan, and she'd be talking to me in. She used to make me die. And they used to say, "Oh, Viv, when I got off the phone, I didn't know you was a Geordie." I said, "I'm not. That was my nan. She's a Geordie." But
whereas I'm just North London.
Oh, I absolutely love the Cockneys.
Cockney. He's a Cockney rebel.
My cock is down to my knee, yes.
Wait, no, where's that camera phone? Send me a pic after the show.
I will. I need to send you 10 of them in instalments so you'll line them up.
Oh my God, you two.
We are,
Yeah.
Terry. We are the hedgehogs. We are the Hertfordshire hedgehogs.
Hedgehogs?
That's what they call us. People from Hertfordshire are called the hedgehogs.
What do they call people from West London then?
Arseholes.
West London massive. I'm from the West Side.
West
London
Side.
massive. I'm from the West
Well,
London massive.
that's where he comes from, and it is West London, isn't he? Ali
I
G
want
is
you-
West London. West
Ali G.
Side. Big up the West Side.
I'm
I want-
literally 5 minutes from Staines is where I used to live.
Yeah, me and Terry are the Hertfordshire hedgehogs.
So you're posh boys, are you? The posh boys?
No, not you. You know me and Terry.
It would be like Dale Boy and Dave. No, Dale Boy and
Oh yeah, Rodney.
Trigger.
They're more like what's his name? Arthur and from Minder.
Oh, Arthur and Terry.
Oh, I
Terry
know.
I used to
McCann.
love that when I was a kid. Absolutely loved that program when I was a kid. It's still on now, I think. You can still watch it now on
He
YouTube.
died recently, didn't he, Terry McCann?
He did, yeah, bless him. Yeah,
that was him. That was him. That was from. Was that the guy that was for U-Tricks and that?
Oh, that was great, New Tricks, wasn't it?
Aye, Dennis Waterman was his
That's
name.
it. That's
the
him.
fella.
I'm surprised.
Yeah,
I'm surprised Steve Huff hasn't been trying to contact him. Mind you, he's not famous enough for Steve Huff, is he?
Oh, is he trying to contact?
Don't be silly. I mean, come on. That guy's a
One is
fucking
proper, Terry.
genius. He brought Meatloaf through. Who else?
But you know what? He's not the only one doing it. The amount of people that I've seen with the ITC equipment on their spirit boxes trying to talk to famous people or get their dollies to talk. Bloody hell, these people need slapping, seriously. You know, haunted dolls, really?
It's got to the point now, Viv, when I think back to like how naive I was years ago and how I would give credit or room for anything. And then the older I get the more I think, you know, this is not ghost hunting or spirits, because that's very real. But the actions of people around it is just complete bollocks. It's complete nonsense. And I say now, I don't doubt the paranormal. I doubt people's interpretations of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, it just pisses me off.
We should have a show about what boils your piss.
Well, thanks, Kelly.
Actually, let's not do that. What boils your piss? Because what boils your piss? I don't want to use that saying because that's ridiculous. Let's just call it out for what it is. Who are these idiots? Call out an idiot for what an idiot is. You know, there's means and ways of doing it.
It gets to the point where sometimes I feel like just doing an open show and going, right, this bloke's a moron, that woman's a moron, this bloke's lying. Clearly, they're not getting. But you think, you know what? Because I get to the point where I think I don't really care what they think about me anymore, and I don't care if they want to work with me or not.
Just what they did in Chewing the Fat. Wank, good guy, wank, good guy.
Yeah.
But you know, they're saying what boils your piss. Well, if your piss is boiling, go and see a doctor because it's obviously you've got some kind of STD because it shouldn't.
Well, I'm all right. I'll put ice down my pants.
Fucking love it.
It's true, though. Just say it for what it is, you know, and have proof. Have the proof, not hearsay. Not hearsay. Kelly. Just have the proof and have actual and you know what? Let them come on and defend themselves. You know, that's you can have a healthy debate, and a debate is two-sided. You've got to have my way of thinking, and if you don't think my way, I'm going to ban you or block you.
Oh, it's madness, isn't it?
We should have a flat earth and a globe trotter, and we'll be off and running.
Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, the thing is, the world is a difference of opinions, and that's all they are, opinions, because nobody's got the definitive answers. So everybody's opinion is as credible as the next person's. Yeah. So listen to somebody else's opinion. Don't get the ump with it. Or don't think, you know, they're thinking they're doing this the wrong way. Who says they're doing it the wrong way? Who says that you're doing it the right way? Who says I'm doing it the right way? I might have been doing it wrong for the last God knows how many years. I don't know. you know, I think the thing is that they think that they've got license on it, and they think that they've
Yeah.
got control on it, and they know what they're doing. That's a dangerous way to go about something. Never
It's like
questioning yourself.
me and Dan have been in this paranormal field for many years. We're not going to say how many because we're just too old.
Terry as well. Terry's been doing it for years and years and years.
And we still stumble across stuff. We still don't know what we're doing.
No. Right, give me 2 minutes, guys. I'll be back with you.
Okay. We've upset her now. Quick, let's talk about her while she's gone.
Oh, I thought she'd never go. And that is the truth of it, Gary, isn't it? That's the truth of it.
She heard us. She heard us.
And that's the truth of it. Their truth, your truth, and the real truth. Absolutely. Somewhere in the middle is the real truth. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Because all they do is use people, Terry.
Yeah, exactly, Von.
It's just let them get on with it. And I think this is what's happened, isn't it? A lot of the proper ghost hunters, the people that are in it in earnest, the people who are in it for the right reasons, they've got sick of that. So they've moved to the periphery now.
Yeah.
You know, they've moved to the edge now, like we have. We said, didn't we? And I'm sure Terry's exactly the same as Gary.
We love you too, Terry.
Keep your own house.
Do you know
love
what?
You too, Kelly.
We tend to sort of just do what we do, don't we, Dan? And we just stick to our own. And it doesn't mean to say that we wouldn't welcome other people because we're always learning, you know. But when people get ridiculous, I look at Dan, I say, should we go over here? And then we still wait well clear. And I think
we got to the point now where we're like a couple of cynicists, aren't we? We're just sitting in the back and here we go, fuck it up. Okay,
here we go, there go.
What a long bollocks. And somebody said something, bollocks.
Or I shut the door in people's faces.
Shut the door in exactly. That was brilliant. That was at was it? Well, what? Oh, prison, wasn't it? It was at a prison. Oh, thanks. I'll get back to you, Kelly. I promise. I'm terrible.
He is terrible. I'm
awful. I'm awful.
It's either that and he sees my name and goes, oh, fuck, there's her again.
Dan, you are awful, but I like you.
Oh, dude, like, shut that door.
Oh, we're turning into comedy now. Shut that door.
I'll tell you what, that would be good, Terry. Going on one of their investigations and question everything. And I bet they wouldn't be able to come up with a credible answer.
Terry, me and Dan will join you.
We'll all go and just point and go and laugh in the background.
We'll put you in the front though, Terry, and we'll stand behind you. Or we'll be the naughty children giggling away.
That's it.
Exactly, that's it, Von. Exactly, the best way to do it.
But I say.
So, but are we going back to serial killers?
Yes. Yes, we definitely will, Kelly. I mean, I was talking to Viv about this actually. It was you, Viv, wasn't it? I was talking about Kelly's birds.
No, it was me.
Was it you?
Because I mentioned it. Remember when I was saying
about the birds and that? I love those little. They're fledged now, aren't they? They're due to go, aren't they? Soon.
Right.
Rehoming
them soon, aren't you?
So serial killers.
I love that, Terry.
Out of all your serial killers. Out of all your serial killers, who's your favourite serial killer and why, if you could have one?
There's just something about Ed Gein. Around the Ed Gein. You know, he sticks out to me because he made people, he obviously skinned people and he made furniture and things like that, and he was a really interesting guy. He was like one of the ones that stood out to me that he really was. It's just what possessed. I would love to know in MD's mind what makes somebody do what they do, and what sort of thought path do they have of?
I was going to say something along. I was going to say my favourite one's a Snap, Crackle and Pop.
But just what his thought process was to then eventually after obviously killing them, like stripping their skin and making furniture and things like that. That's
We know someone who does things like that, don't we, Dan? Who made took the face. He's got the face of someone and made a mask of a real human skin face thing.
He's actually a very nice fella, isn't he?
Yeah, and he sells mummified bodies and yeah. I've not seen furniture made out of human skin yet, but that's not to say that it won't turn up.
But they used to do it. Didn't they? Used to tan the hides of people that were hanged, didn't they, years ago? People that were executed. They used to use their skin for book covers and stuff. I think they did it with. Didn't they do it with who were the two guys in Edinburgh? The grave.
Burke and Hare.
Burke and Hare. Yeah, they did it with one of them, didn't they? I think one got hanged and the other got off, didn't they? So he moved away or something. But yeah, they did it with him, didn't they? They used his body or his skin they tanned it and then used it for books.
Who's your favourite serial killer then, Dan, and why?
It's not serial killers so much. It's the thing that intrigues me are manipulators. So I mean, you got Adolf Hitler, and you didn't kill, as far as we know, didn't kill a single person, but is responsible for the death of 6 million people.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like people that can utilise it, and like we were talking earlier, you know, like Manson, that type of thing. Don't actually lift a finger yourself, but you're clever enough to manipulate other people to go about doing your work.
Yeah,
you know?
I think of David Koresh when you think of that, like David Koresh when he killed all those. They all went up and
was that no the genocide?
Is it Koresh?
Yeah. It was with children of what was it, Viv?
Texas, isn't it? He did it in Texas.
Texas, yeah. When they children of something, I can't remember what it's called now. It was a cult, wasn't it?
Some cult, yeah.
Yeah, it was a genocide one. See, I shouldn't laugh because when you said Der Hitler, Sean Locke came into my head because Sean Locke was asked if you could bring back something extinct, what would you bring back? And he said, first of all, he'd bring back the dinosaurs and he'd take out all their teeth and nails. He says, so that they could attack them, so he could say. And then he says, he would bring all the leaders of the Nazi party back.
That's right.
And Jimmy's car was trying to stop him. And it was like,
you know, the Nazi party has never gone away. It's still there. It's never ever gone away. It's always been.
Who do you think the EU are?
Yeah, exactly. So, my favourite serial killer has got to be Jeffrey Dahmer. And the reason why it's Jeffrey Dahmer is because he knew he was doing wrong. He knew it was wrong to kill someone, but he wanted to anyway. He knew it was wrong to eat someone, but he wanted to try human flesh, so he did. So the reason I like him, well, I don't really like him, but he's the only one that has ever come out and said, yeah, at the time of being arrested, yeah, I knew it was wrong. I wanted to do it. So there we go.
This is honest.
So for that, I think, yeah, your mind's a bit warped, mate, and what you did was definitely wrong. But at least you admit to your crimes, and you knew that they were wrong. So
was Jeffrey Dahmer the gay? Was he a gay killer?
He was a gay
guy, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Ever so good looking.
Was he a really good looking? I was going to say he was a really good looking fella, wasn't he?
Blonde hair, really good looking.
Yeah.
And I think he got killed.
Fella, wasn't he?
He got put in mainstream prison, and I think he got killed by an inmate.
Then mate killed him.
Yeah.
I remember him. He was blonde hair, Viv, wasn't he? Like really handsome. Didn't he have a moustache?
At one point,
he was
I think
really handsome, rugged looking guy, wasn't he?
I'll go on. I got cats fighting. Let me come back.
God, he's
but
going to be
yeah,
time for the Jar of Doom in a minute.
I know. Jar of Doom. Woo! But yeah,
We started out on one subject and then swirled out into about 30 or 40 different ones.
I know. We're like an hour and a half into the live.
I had to throw my shoes at the cat.
You weren't still wearing them at the time, were you?
No, they're down the bottom of the stairs. I hope Andy don't sit. I hope he don't trip over them in the dark. But, oh well.
But aye, guys, it's been definitely a good show. That's what Dan was saying. There we went on one subject and then we went into a tangent to a million others. But you know what? That's what makes a show. I can remember one night when it was me, Jacqueline, Vonnie, and we turned it into a food channel. We were talking about food across the world.
He's a serial killer. He's a killer of birds, mice, voles, wood pigeons. He's a wood pigeon. They're big birds. He don't care. But he's frogs. Bring him. Oh, I'll never forget. I moved my settee once to put the Christmas decorations up. We were just moving the room around to accommodate the tree, and we found a dried frog underneath the settee. Must have been there all summer. We never ever smelt it or anything. There was just a dried, crispy frog.
Yeah. What one, Von? Jack the Ripper or the Yorkshire Ripper or?
I think it's Jack the Ripper that she's referring to. If it's Jack the Ripper,
I have no idea.
then...
I've no idea what went on there. To be honest with you.
Oh, your opinion.
Yeah, your opinion.
Jack the Ripper. Jack the Ripper. I think. No, you're fine, Bonnie. I think, to be honest, that he. Well, as we say, the jury's out in that one. It could have been a female that done.
I don't think he is any of the suspects.
No, I don't.
I think he is somebody completely different, and he is an Englishman, not American. And I think he ended up in somewhere like Bedlam or Belgium. And I think eventually that's where he died, which is why the killings stopped suddenly. I think he was taken into one of the asylums. And I mean, back in those days, you didn't want to end up in. So the London one would have been Bedlam, wouldn't it? If you ended up in there, you were not coming out.
And that was the other one was Claybury, wasn't it? That was in London, just on the periphery of London. They used to send them to it, which was horrific for the poor souls.
I don't think it's got anything to do with him being a doctor. I don't think it's got anything to do with that American guy. What's his name? Hudson.
Tumblety.
The one that they're claiming could have been Jack the Ripper.
One's called Tumblety, an Irish-American fella.
Yeah.
There's another American fella, and there's a couple of American fellas. There's a guy from Liverpool. Oh, God, I can't remember his name now.
Isn't he the one
that diary, I think, was the fake. I think that one they found underneath the floorboards.
I think at one time they blamed a guy called Aaron Kosminski, a 23-year-old.
Sorry, go on.
No, it's fine.
I know he nearly got caught early on, didn't he? Because he was in the pub and he said, "I'm just going out for a slash."
Oh, Dan. Tell the Americans what that means when you're going out for a slash. Because I'm
going out to relieve oneself in an alleyway of urine.
The Scottish say pish. Going for a pish.
I don't think there was any of that. I think that was all.
No.
I think those are just nice stories.
So, what do you think about Harold Shipman? Now, Harold Shipman is, in history, in British history, he is our most prolific serial killer.
They don't even know how many, do they, roughly?
Well, they counted 235 or something, but they say he could have killed more.
Mm.
And then when he went to prison, he was still acting as a doctor in the prison, wasn't he? So mates were coming to see him. Say, I've got a bad ear. Can you sort my ear out? And he was just... It's crazy. But Harold Shipman, I just think Was he killing people with kindness? Does that make him an evil person?
What galls me about Harold Shipman is the fact that he wasn't caught before, as long as how he carried it out. Because at the end of the day, would you start questioning if someone goes to see their doctor and then dies so many hours later? Would you think, right? If once that happens, okay, fair enough, that could be the fact that they've just died of whatever course. But when 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 started to come ahead, would nobody ever think they're going to see the same doctor?
Didn't he had paperwork between him and the funeral people? The paperwork, he was managed to get away with it by the cause of death on the paperwork or something. There was something between him and the burying of these people. They were buried pretty quickly as well, weren't they? So there was that side of it that went on. But I think our society, we are to blame because we don't put things in place. People ask a question, they say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, and it's left.
Well, I mean, you've only got to look at the medical system now, aren't you, with what's just gone on over the last 2 years, conflating people's deaths with the virus weeks after they've been cured of it.
It's true.
It's true, yeah. It's just true. It's true.
I mean, in most cases, on you go, Dan.
No, you go. No, you carry on, Lois. Sorry.
In most cases, Shipman was actually injecting the victim with a lethal dose of dimorphine and then signing the death certificate to natural causes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether he saw it as an honourable thing he was doing for people, whether he was helpful.
He must have been doing it for years and years and years.
Did they actually reckon that it could span back as when he was a junior doctor?
Yeah.
Well, there's cases of nurses doing it, isn't there? Cases of nurses doing it on wards.
Yeah.
That one, the one down in England, she was a child.
Beverly Allett.
And she's the only known woman, I think, in Britain to have got a full lifetime sentence. She'll never see the light of day.
And she shouldn't. Oh, okay.
I never ever knew that, actually, but
that makes sense.
Dimorphine can actually kill you. When dimorphine is used for cancer patients, and I know when my uncle was on dimorphine, he had a button that he had to keep pressing because the effects of dimorphine does run out pretty quickly when they're in that much pain.
My mum had that button.
But I think it is detectable inside a human body after, in autopsy. I think you can still detect it.
But you think about DNA, in forensics, it's came a long way from what they had just back in, the 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s to what you have now. I mean, all these high-tech equipment that they've brought out and, the fact that they can do this IP thing where they track everything back the way and everything, it's mind blowing.
Very, very clever now. It's to the point. It's like you go into a hospital, you go somewhere now, and a doctor will prescribe something. You think, I've never heard of this before, because the medical world is advancing so fast. They're creating cures and all sorts of wonderful and weird things to our benefit.
Oh, they're talking about dimorphine still.
Aye, the syringe driver. I've seen a lot of syringe drivers over the years. But guys, you are always amazing. I freaking love you. Mwah!
Yeah, they did well, didn't they? You did well, you lot.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So, well, we're going to bring it to a close, Dan, because I think
next week, the Jar of Doom.
Jar of Doom.
Do you want the Jar of Doom for next week?
Yeah,
why
let's
not?
do that.
Let's get the Jar of Doom.
Hang on. Didn't Terry suggest something the other week?
Yes, he did.
Oh,
What was it, Terry? What did you
Was that-
suggest last week?
that was the priests, the nuns. It was the
Spirits.
thing with spirits with nuns. We were going to do that after Tuesday's show, which shall not be on, guys, because obviously medical reasons. I'll be there.
So we'll do spirits and nuns next week, shall we?
Spirits and nuns, yeah, because I remember
Pretty
Terry
good.
told us that, didn't he?
I
what
think
happened.
he said haunted something with hauntings with nuns and priests. I think I could be
Yeah, it
wrong.
was haunted, like religious hauntings, I suppose, wasn't it? That type of thing.
Right, we'll do that then. Brilliant.
That'd be interesting.
Depends on the dose, Terry.
Okay.
So
But-
next week then, spirits and nuns it is. Oh, we got to dress up as vicars and tarts then.
I was going to say
for it.
Vickers and Tarts.
Oh, that means I need to go to Ann Summers this week.
we should so organise a big paranormal up where we all meet up for a Vickers and Tarts.
I think we
big,
should do
big
that.
party. That'd be
Okay.
hilarious.
You
Right,
don't hear
and-
of vicars and tarts parties anymore, do you, Dan?
No,
Oh,
in the
God.
70s they were all go with, weren't they? 70s and 80s.
We'll do it for my birthday. We'll have a big vicars and tarts night.
Oh,
Actually,
wait a minute.
Dan's birthday's before mine, but then I suppose everybody's out for Valentine's Day, so we'll do it after mine.
If we can have a Vickers and Tarts party, I'll get the old purple bishop out.
Ah! Please don't. Please don't. I don't want to see that. There's certain things you just shouldn't see.
I didn't say that was mine.
My God.
Oh,
And on
my
that
God.
note, shall we end it?
Oh,
I think I
thank you. Thank you for everybody watching, and oh my God.
Thank you, everyone. I'm sorry I brought it down
Bye.
again. Bye, everybody.
Always
Loves you all.
do.